Well, we've already started example 3. We realized angle R is where we were going, and 10 would be described as adjacent, and 12 would be described as hypotenuse. And so we set up cosine of R equals 10 over 12. We have to get R by itself, which means cosine needs to get canceled out. Cosine needs to go away, and cosine's telling us to do something to R. There's only one way to cancel out a trig function, and that's with arc trig function. For example, if you see here, we've got sine, cosine, and tangent on the calculator. Right above it is sine to the -1, cosine to the -1, and tangent to the -1. And those are called arc tangent, arc cosine, and arc sine, respectively. And whichever one you got to cancel out, that's the one you're going to use. And so if we look right here, I have to get cosine to go away, and so I have to take its opposite. So on the left side, these two cancel, leaving me with R. But if you take arc cosine of one side of the equation, you must do it to the other. So R is going to equal arc cosine of 10 over 12. The directions say to round to the nearest degree. So what mode should I probably be in? Probably degrees. If you are in radians, it will give you the answer in radians. It's not what you want. Okay, so it's arc cosine of 10 over 12. Arc cosine 10 over 12. And to the nearest degree, 34. So this one right here, 34 degrees. Do I have to do any more in this problem? No. Could I ask you to solve that particular problem? I could. I just chose not to. I just asked for the angle. With that in mind, on the back, why don't you solve this one now? Calculate theta to the nearest degree. Why don't you take a second to do that? All right, let's take a look. Very similar to the last one, except I didn't put a letter in there this time. I just put a theta. And this time, here's theta. And so you might as well just stick with that angle. Obviously, I could go find the other angle first and then subtract from 180, but that's just a big pain. And so if we've got theta right here, we're talking about basically this one being opposite, that one being hypotenuse, which leads us to sine. So sine of theta equals 8 over 14. This time we need sine to get canceled out. So do you do what? Arc tangent? Is that what you do to get rid of sine? No, you do arc sine. Because then they cancel, and then do arc sine to that side. So theta equals arc sine of 8 over 14. Nearest degree is 35. So any questions about the arc sine or arc cosine? Any questions? All right. One last thing. I want to just make sure it's a review, really. If I gave you 42 degrees, 10 minutes, and I asked you to get it to the nearest tenth, this is degrees, minutes, seconds. Obviously, it's 42 point something. How do you get that decimal if they give it to you in degrees, minutes? Yeah, basically, you take this, which is minutes, and it's 10, and basically how many minutes are in a whole hour? Well, 60. It's kind of looking at it as these 42 degrees being kind of like hours, and it's just a more accurate way for them to locate things. And so if you have 10 over 6, it's basically saying 10 over 60, excuse me, it's the same as saying 1 over 6, which is what, 0.16 repeating, something like that if you actually type it in. And so if I say nearest tenth, it's 42 point Well, if this is 1616, keep going. It'd be 42 point. Oh, okay. So it's 0.2 degrees. Okay. And why don't you just try this one quick, just to make sure you got it. 22 degrees. Whoa. 22 minutes. Nearest 10th. So 22.4. It's 22 over 60.